can just get heaps of I mean, it's obvious, but what sort of vegetables do you really go for when you're doing like either a tofu scramble
in the morning? Time's always a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're gonna chop up onions, chop up a whole bunch and just put.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Kidney Coach YouTube channel. I am joined again by the amazing, wonderful Jessianna from the National Kidney Institute, Nutritional Institute. And today we wanted to go over and talk about all things breakfast when it comes to kidney disease. So why don't we start by just what the importance of breakfast is, and especially with kidney disease, is it something you should skip, or why is it important? And let's go from there.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think there are definitely different strokes for different folks. Very personalized. Breakfast can be a great way. We found for people that are especially maybe they're losing weight, they're not getting all the calories in. You got a lot in breakfast, and the whole breakfast strategy you can use to make sure you get enough calories. It can be a great way to put in a lot of very alkaline foods, which we'll talk about later in this episode. But breakfast can be a huge powerhouse for a lot of people. For those, we have patients that definitely do intermittent fasting, whether we're like looking at the metabolic health or for polycystic kidney disease. A lot of people that are skipping breakfast and they're fasting. In those, that can be perfectly acceptable, but it's definitely a case by case basis. I mean, we've had some people, their ketone levels actually very good until we had a breakfast back in. I think this is very individual, whether or not it's like the most important meal of the day is what we always still versus one that can be very long.
So what are say someone says, look, I'm not into liquid breakfast. What are some of your other favorite sort of things to do to make sure? I don't know, you talked about tofu scramble and omelet scramble, which I think are probably my next two go-tos as well. So do you want to walk us through a little bit more about how people can just get heaps of I mean, it's obvious, but what sort of vegetables do you really go for when you're doing like either a tofu scramble or an egg sort of omelette-y kind of thing?
Yeah. So we would do, if we're doing a savory dish that has, usually it's an egg base. There's not tons of other, unless again you're looking at Asian cuisine, where you have other meats, unless they're processed for breakfast. And we don't usually eat chicken for breakfast.
No.
So some people do, but usually people rely on eggs. Eggs are a staple. So if you're doing a tofu scramble or regular scramble, onions are a good starting point for so many people because they taste good. They're used to having those. They taste good with eggs. And what we'll tell our patients to do is you either buy the pre-frozen onions at the store, so you have to chop them up in the morning because time's always a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're going to chop up onions, chop up a whole bunch and just put them in your freezer. Then you can just put the frozen onions in there and cook. So we're going to start with onions, and then depends on the person. So if you have a potassium restriction, again, for people that are potassium restriction, they might use more of like peppers and some of the like rougher greens like kale in there. Really, if we can get kale or a green in there, that's the best. So that might be a start for potassium restriction. If you don't have a potassium restriction, which a lot of earlier stage, you don't need to watch out for it, then we can use, more of like a spinach or collards with it and just cook it up really well. I'm trying to think the other things that some of our patients really like to put in there. I've had some patients where they'll do like kind of like an herby, like a spring herby one. So they'll do like carrots and peas and like kind of spring vegetables, and they'll saute it up and then put their egg with it. So it's almost, you think of like a quiche or that type of a dish, and you can put really, really amazing herbs with it then, whether it's like herbs de Provence or it's a great way to put garlic in. Like garlic tastes really good with that onion and pepper.
Garlic, yeah.
So good for you in so many ways. So those are some things you can do with that kind of savory dish. Sometimes I use it just to clean stuff, like clean vegetables out of my freezer, because I know almost everything goes with eggs. Like almost everything. I'm trying to think what doesn't go, but I'm sure there's a few things that doesn't go.
Yeah, no, that
doesn't go well with eggs, but
no, that'd probably be the main one. But you're right, most things go with
everything else goes well.
Mushrooms are another good one, right? They're always good.
Oh yeah, I forgot about mushrooms. Mushrooms are amazing. You could definitely put mushrooms in
Yeah,
there.
if you want to make sure you subscribe so you hear when Jessianna and I talk about lunch and breakfast, hit the subscribe button. You'll get a notification when we do our next podcast. Make sure you head over to our website as well, www.kidneycoach.com. You'll find all the information there about the kidney disease solution and some of the supplements that we sell. You'll read all about the team there, myself and Duncan. And yeah, thank you for being part of our community. Jessianna, thank you again for your time. Always greatly appreciated. And we'll see you next time to talk all things lunch.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Fiona.
No worries.